What's going on, guys? I'm back with my newest installment here of the card game that I'm making. It's a RPG tabletop role-playing card game. I'm going to show you some today of my where I've gotten to at this point. It's not very far, but it feels really far for me. Um, Having to like plug in the numbers and stuff and just like placeholder numbers and getting everything in order. I know that a lot of what they stress on, like, so I watch Stonemeyer games to get a lot of just inspiration and guideline and stuff like that. Same with Board Game Design Lab. I watch a lot of those videos. Just like people who are in the industry that can kind of give you sort of the heads up on kind of some of the stuff so I can avoid some of those early mistakes. And one of the things that they stress is not to take too much time on your card art and the design and all that stuff in the beginning. So as you can see on my screen, I have some of these kind of put together. I did take a little bit of time just to make it. I'm on Dexterous. It's like a website. This is not a sponsor. It's a website that you basically can import. So you can put all the stats from. So I have enemy cards, gear cards, and event cards for the three types of cards that are going to be in the game. I can put all that stuff in a Google sheet, and then you can make a link in Google with like your CSV link or whatever, and you can put it straight into Dexterous and it'll populate the card. This isn't the final product, obviously. I don't know what you can and can't use on here as like stuff that's for commercial use. So for now, it's just prototypes and stuff. I definitely spent more time prototyping than I probably should have, but I wanted it to look at least somewhat cool if I'm gonna play with them and play test them. That being said, the next steps here are finishing up. I have 60 enemy cards, and that are pretty much without any abilities yet. I have just placeholder like attack, defense, vitality, reaction, and I have all those things on the card to correspond. I think it looks okay. I was really worried that it was going to get cluttered real fast just because there are so many stats. Imagine trying to fit a D&D character sheet on a trading card. I mean, it's going to get really cluttered, but I'm hoping that if I can keep it sort of clean, like a full art card, and then make the cards themselves sort of, I guess, the enemies or the gear or whatever, transparent. And then that way I can sort of have the whole card, and the stats won't block anything out, and the image also won't block out any stats. So it'll feel a little bit more open. But again, this is just what I have right now. So we'll see how it goes in the future. In terms of play testing, after I get all of the information in, all of the text in, that'll, populate all the stuff on the cards where I want it. It's just going to be a matter of play testing. So that's going to take a long time. Obviously, that's a lot of people say, like, that's the reason you don't focus too much on the actual, like on the art and on the specifics of all that stuff, is because you're going to iterate 1,000 times. So don't get too attached to it. And then I'm going to be cutting cards. There's going to be a certain number of cards that I'm going to want, like in the starter packs, that it would be sort of like selling the game, that it would be on shelves that people would buy so that they could, just start playing. And then obviously other cards that would then fit into some booster packs and stuff like that. But for just all of the cards that would be in the starter cards, I can sort of trim down some of the stuff I have, because I do have a lot. I mean, just the event cards, I have 86 right now, which is a lot, but it's not too many. They say you should have at least double what you need. Double what was going to be in the deck, which as of now is 30 in each deck. So if that's 60 of each card, I definitely have well over that. But I want to give myself do the creative part, or do all that, form filling stuff, do all that first, and then I can sort of later on cut the cards I need to cut. Kind of like when you make a magic deck. Like you, for some people, you just add a little bit at a time. I like to build with 150 cards and then I'll cut some out. So it's kind of what I'm doing here is just add a bunch of stuff. And then, so say like there's a bunch of consumables and then accessories. So like on your character, you would have a helmet, a chest, legs, boots, gloves. That would all be armor. Then you'd have your shield and your sword, or two swords or battle axe or whatever if you're dual wielding. And then you would have accessories, which would be ring and amulet. Oh, and your back slot as an accessory as well. So I have all that stuff. I have weapons, tons of weapons. I can trim some of those out. Armor, different armor sets. I'm thinking about maybe doing like set bonuses, maybe, because there's five pieces of armor, whatever it is, whatever the number is. So maybe having a certain number be like this, half of the reward and then a full set bonus, or just a full set bonus. We'll see. Again, that's all. I mean, I haven't even started play testing, so I'll figure that out as we go. But yeah, I mean, again, it's tough because when I'm sitting around, like if I'm at work or whatever, I can't do any of like the clerical work, like just the typing and plugging in numbers type stuff. So I just like daydream about stuff that I can put in. And then it starts to get like super a little bit overwhelming because I'm just thinking about things to keep adding that are cool and will be nice. But I think I have to keep in mind that I really want this game to be D&D that's accessible to anyone who picks up a deck. So if you just pick up a starter deck and you're not like a collector, you're not someone who wants to like buy booster packs and stuff, you can still play the game. It still feels strategic and it still feels fun and light where you can, it's going to take an hour and a half or whatever to play a game. But, if you're camping or on vacation or whatever, and it's a rainy day and you want to pull out a game, that this would be something that you have a few decks with you, you can just play for a little while. I'm used to playing like Risk and stuff when I go camping and it's a rainy day. I envision something that could, not necessarily replace it, but be something where you're like, oh, we played Risk yesterday, let's play, this game today. Something that's fun for everybody that kind of gets your imagination going and kind of like lets you go on an adventure and both compete with people and have fun moments and stuff like that. So, playtesting, I think what I'm most nervous about, like having never made a game before, having very limited experience with games, I think I'm most nervous about my systems that I have in place not working or not making any sense, or the way it's in my head. We get to, turn 3 and it's like, okay, now what? So that'll be fun. I'm excited to see sort of like how much of a crapshoot everything is, but it is nerve wracking because once I find, I put all the effort into like making all the prototype and everything, or the playtesting stuff. I'm just nervous that it's going to be like, wow, I got a few turns in and I have to go back to the drawing board and figure something else out. I'm also a little worried that combat, that's obviously going to be the hard, there's going to be like basically the entire process is like fine tuning combat. I think I'm most nervous about combat lagging a little bit, combat not feeling fun and swingy, or feeling too swingy where, it's got to be a sweet spot. I want it to only take a few turns where it's like, it's engaging, it's quick, you're swinging, they're swinging, it's depleting your resources, but you're also getting a reward. Everyone else that's fighting gets a reward, or people that are watching aren't going to get bored because this combat's going on for 5-10 minutes. So I would like for it to be like, I roll, someone rolls for my enemy, then player 2 rolls, I roll for his enemy. And if there's another player, player 3 rolls, and then I roll for their enemy. I want to have a lot of actions you can do on your turn, but ideally things that aren't going to be roll this dice, then this dice, then this dice, then add this with this and do all that. I would like for it to be a little bit quicker so that you still feel like you're doing all that stuff you do in D&D and other, in RPG games, but it's quick. It's similar to playing it on the computer where all that math is behind the screen, where you don't have to do a ton of that stuff. It's still going to have a lot of math and everything, but I'm hoping that we can sort of minimize the amount of stuff. So the provisions cost is just going to be like a basic cost of having the card in your deck. It's not something you're going to have to really interact with, but it's just so that whatever the arbitrary number is that I'm setting as of right now, each deck has to stay within the 50 or 60 provision cost. That way, like someone, even if you're buying booster packs and you're getting rare versions or epic versions of a certain card, that it's only better, the card is better, but the provisions cost isn't insanely better. It's only 1 or 2. So it does incentivize that, but it's not going to allow you to get like too out of hand in terms of other people's decks are still going to be viable. Again, similar to Magic, where you can have, say, for Commander, like a bracket 5 deck versus a bracket 3 deck or whatever. But where a lot of this is going to probably sit, especially in the beginning when there's not a lot of variance, there's not a lot of cards and stuff, I think a lot of it will sit somewhere in the middle, and you'll just have some people who maybe have some cool cards that are adding to the experience. Because I think built in is the fact that you're drawing cards per turn and then shuffling them back in and everything. So everyone's going to have a chance to get all their good cards. Along those lines, I also want to make sure that the game is fun in terms of what I think is fun. So the fighting, obviously, you always assume combat is going to be engaging for people, but just the act of drawing the cards, picking which adventure you want to go on, which event card you want to play. So as of now, I'm in between having a hand, so like having the adventures you would have, like that you have picked up along the way that you could go do, similar to in a game where like on the side of your screen you have the quests that you want to do, and then it's either like you draw 1 card per turn and then you have 3 cards in your hand, or every turn you draw 3 cards, pick one, and then shuffle them all back in once you play one. Not sure yet. I kind of like the idea of the hands just because it's, like I said, similar to in some games where you can do whichever quest you want to do at the time, whichever one you think the reward would be most beneficial to you. So that's sort of kind of what I'm thinking right now, but yeah, we shall see. So I don't want to run too long. I just want to show you guys some of the progress. I'm really excited to have some of these cards down. I'm hoping that soon I can start. I'll finish these up probably tonight or sometime later in the week, and then I can start playtesting. I'll start with playtesting by myself, and I'll maybe playtest with some buddies and stuff. But I'll try to record that stuff too, of me playtesting, and then that way I can kind of show you guys how much of a blunder it is when I get to that point and it lasts 3 turns like I was talking about. So try to stay engaged, stay in the comments, let me know what you think. I love your guys' feedback. I know I didn't do a lot of close stuff, but just from what I've shown on screen, maybe just take a look at it, let me know what you think of it, and any feedback is good feedback. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next one.